From Bridgestone Arena, hi, I'm Dan Kingerski on the National Hockey Now and the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube channel, amongst some annoyed sports writers as I'm talking here, so we'll not do a full 90 minutes tonight. We'll make it very quick. Your cues on Twitter, and we're just going to roll through them real quickly. The Penguins, I thought, had a really good night. They get Brayden Yager. Yeah, we're going to start throwing some popcorn, I think. Just as long as there's no... actually, you know, hey, let me show you this. The folks here at Bridgestone Arena gave us this bottle. Every sports writer got this bottle of Jack Daniels with like this logo. If I actually drank Jack Daniels, this stuff would like, this is gold. Oh, they also gave us some rub too. Anyway, let's get to the Q&A. Brayden Yager, who I thought was an interesting pick. Boy, I think I let my rooting interest get a little bit the better of me on, what day is today? Wednesday. I was rooting for Zach Benson to fall to the Penguins. I just kind of liked the kid. We had some things in our childhood in common, and I thought he was a bit of a game-breaking talent that really could have made a very quick transition to the NHL and been a very interesting sort of story to cover with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. The way his game sort of emulates, I thought, more Mitch Marner than Braden Point, but pick your comparison there. Benson fell all the way to 13th before the Buffalo Sabres snagged him. The Penguins take Yager. I project Yager as a third-line center. There are some people taking a little bit of issue with my analysis on that. And look, there's a lot of guys across the NHL who scored in juniors playing in a bottom six role. There's no shame in being a 3C. Jordan Staal. You guys can throw stuff. It's all right. No. Hey, we're all good. This is YouTube. It's not like it's, real. So let's get to this here. Yager, he is a really smart player. Defensive, stays on the right side of the puck. In his forecheck, he puts the stick in the right lanes. He's got some good closing speed. Responsible, as Mike Sullivan might say, he pays attention to the details of the game. Said his parents imparted that to him. Made sure that he stays on the details to earn the coach's trust. Very smart advice for all of you hockey parents out there, by the way. Yager said he'll be ready in 2 to 3 years. Check out the full story on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. There's a couple or a few of them there. It wasn't the sexiest pick. I know a lot of people were disappointed because it wasn't a game breaker, but I think the final game breaker was at 13. I think Benson was the last guy to really sort of have that ability. All right, let me take the glasses off so I can read. Let's see here. Oh, geez. Eric says that was Pryor's last draft. Hopefully they build a better scouting team. You know what? I was told Wednesday that actually Dubas and team actually like Pryor. And forgive me, I'm trying to think of his first name because I think we all assumed that he would go out, with the bathwater of the previous regime. But there is a chance that he sticks around. So he might be pretty good at his job. Let's see here. David Cole says, you can't make any assessments about Brayden Yager yet. David, I think you greatly underestimate my job. I can do it today, I'll do it tomorrow when the data changes, and I'll do it in a year when the conclusion gets a little more clear. This is what I do, David. What are you kidding me? All right. Tony says, oh, you're a scout now. No, but I do pay attention to hockey occasionally. Let me find a few more of these as we do them rapid fire. El Fusco says, this pick sounds like a rebuild. Well, keeping your first round pick isn't necessarily rebuild. I think it was just good business. Trying to find the other one. Oh, yeah, right here. Drizzy says, any thoughts on why there were no trades at the draft? Well, listen, this was a unique draft compared to, let's say, the last handful of years because there was legitimate and actual talent, in the first round. The last few years, there's been some, I don't want to call them stinkers, but, they were really scraping, kind of third round sort of players in the first round. in some recent drafts. So I think the opportunity to trade out of the first round was there, but you're looking at the value, and it wasn't there to make those deals. And so those two things are kind of linked with the Penguins, if you want to call it a rebuild, just adding some prospects. Good Lord. I do expect a little bit of movement tomorrow. My predictions from Wednesday afternoon, I said the Penguins would deal a third-round pick. Well, I didn't project the 24 pick, but that's what they used to get Riley Smith, right in line with Kyle Dubas's path, his prediction, his ethos, that they would try to find players being squeezed out on the salary cap of other teams. And he did just that with Riley Smith. Having covered the Vegas Golden Knights playoff run, Smith is going to be an interesting fit with the Penguins, in so much as he didn't light up the score sheet late in the season, nor did he in the playoffs, but he was also cast in a very defensive role. He was playing alongside William Karlsson on the third line for the entirety of the playoffs, and you may have noticed they had some pretty hefty defensive responsibilities. Connor McDavid, the Dallas first line, and they did it with aplomb. They suffocated McDavid at 5-on-5. McDavid had 3 points in that series, and that is part of Riley Smith, a really smart player, very much. There's kind of an intersection of what they got on Wednesday between Braden Yager, a smart defensive, high hockey IQ guy, and Riley Smith, kind of the same way. Although Smith has a really slick, swift transition game. You're going to see him picking off some pucks in the neutral zone. He just kind of knows where to be. He did that quite a bit. It frustrated the daylights out of the Edmonton Oilers. Let's see here. JT, what are your thoughts on the Pens goalie situation? I got no idea, JT. I don't think Tristan Jarry will be back. Of course, we didn't think Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin would be back last year, and they both signed in the days leading up to free agency. Given Dubas's truncated timeline, I don't think we can read too much into Jarry not signing a contract yet. I think it makes great sense for both sides, Jarry and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Say, okay, let's go to July 1. You think you're worth X, we think you're worth Y. Let's see who's right. And if you want to take one of the offers, fine. I don't think that's too much of a gamble. I think the goalie market is flush with options, even though there's an interesting development happening in Vegas where that reported contract with Adin Hill, the 2 years, 4.9 per, isn't signed yet. I asked Kelly McCrimmon Wednesday, hey, what's up with Adin Hill? And he said, we're still working. We're still trying to figure it out. He didn't strike the optimistic tone like we're getting close and, expect to see it like I kind of expected him to. So maybe Hill hits free agency, although paying $4.9 million for Adin Hill might be what the kids call gross overpay. Let's see here. Free Candy says, best meal you've had in Nashville. White Castle. Yeah. Sorry, listen, kids, I think you know my feelings on Nashville. This is not my favorite city on the planet. I had some Jack's Barbecue for lunch on Tuesday. That was my treat. Otherwise, I'm hiding from this place. It's out to get me. Spaz says, how bad does Yager suck? Should Dubas be fired for this horrible pick? Spaz, touch some grass. Have a drink. Maybe an enema. Might do well. Relax, man. Let's see here. That will be... Christopher asks, seeing Yager at third line center, that's just where I project him. Smart defensively. I don't think his offensive skills are really that of a front line, second line center. Maybe I'm spoiled watching Evgeny Malkin for 17 years. I guess there is a chance he could develop into maybe a Chandler Stevenson sort of second line center. I was thinking more of a Jordan Stahl third line center guy who can, be a second guy in a pinch. But Christopher asks, what if Jaeger moves to the wing? I mean, he is a shooter. He's got a, pretty good release, got a pretty good wrister. I would have to see it. I mean, he hasn't played very much wing in juniors, so there's really not much tape on it that I can grab and say, oh, well, look at this or that. Sorry, I have to punt. And last one comes from Drizzy. He says, no offense, Dan, but I hope they are better at evaluating talent than you. Me too, Drizzy. Me too. All right, that does it here from Bridgestone Arena. I'm Dan Kingerski on the National Hockey Now and the Pittsburgh Hockey Now YouTube channel.